So welcome back to another video. This is 10K steps, walking 10,000 steps a day. 10,000 steps, that is the magic number that everyone has talked about. If you've been on the internet in recent years, you would have likely heard that people say you should get about 10,000 steps a day. Well, the thing is, while this is good, we need to look at the origins of it, which you probably didn't know. And the origin of it is actually, it comes from a Japanese ad selling a pedometer. So they're trying to get people to walk more, they tell people to walk 10,000 steps a day. It's not actually backed by science. But science actually does say that you should walk around 7,000 steps per day. That was in 2021. That is good, but I did some more digging. The thing about the 7,000 steps, that is for the average person. Now, something that most people don't realize is that depending on your goal, you kind of want to be above average. So for 7,000 steps, now while that is good for the average person, if you want to be an athlete like me and be more in shape and develop higher cardiovascular health, 10,000 is the number to go with. Not that this is bad, but this is good for average people, like, you know, your parents, or beginners. 10,000 though is where things get serious. We're going to go over it today in this video. So 10,000 steps. Why should you walk 10,000 steps a day? Well, most people work out and they do a lot of intense lifting, and that builds muscle, but you're not really, let's say, developing cardiovascular longevity, which has multiple benefits. Now, off rip, that is going to burn you an extra 300 to 500 calories. So if you're trying to eat in a deficit and you're burning that much, the fat is just going to shred off you. Walking 10,000 steps made me leaner. So, going back to 2021, I was much more heavy and I was kind of, I would say fat, more like chubby. But I was into high school still, and I was in my junior year of high school. This was kind of the norm, because this is around the time that the pandemic happened. So, you can imagine we were inside a lot. So this is if you need some evidence for the walking. I looked a certain way, and I'll show it on screen. This is what I looked like during the pandemic. I wasn't moving around as much. What really helps with all of this is tracking the amount of steps you walk a day. Most people might think get a pedometer. Well, I think actually the best method of doing it is using on your phone, not sponsored by Apple. Use your Apple Fitness app. If you have an iPhone, it'll actually track the steps. To the point where I recently went back and saw how many steps I was getting a day. And back in 2021, like I said, when I was, chubbier, I was averaging about, I want to say 2,000, 1,000 steps a day. Because I would go to school, they come home, and wouldn't really go out as much. Sometimes I'd go outside, but I didn't really work out like that. So that was back when I was out of shape. At the end of 2021, going into 2022, that's when I started to take working out seriously. And while yes, the working out did build me muscle and get me in shape, you can notice that there is a drastic change in my appearance just by my step count going up. The amount of steps I was taking in a day increased dramatically. At first it was gradual, but the effects were very dramatic, and you can see that in my physique. A lot of people say you can't out-train your diet, and that's true. But on some level, when I first started out, I wasn't eating the cleanest. But I had a lot of progress in all of 2022. In about the span of 8 months, I went from being really heavy to being much lighter. If anything, I graduated in 2021, and I remember a few days before graduation, I stood on the scale because I was at the doctor's office. The scale was about 200 pounds. That's something that's always bothered me, that's always played me in my brain. I hate standing on the scale and seeing myself heavy, let alone looking at the mirror and being heavy. Well, I didn't track it exactly, but I lost about over 50 pounds by muscle training, for sure, but also walking every single day. And I would try to get in about 10,000 steps. Now, at first, it was really hard because of two reasons. When, if you're starting out, you're just not used to walking the way that most athletes are. And number two is because I didn't exactly know what I was doing. It was really a shame. So you can see the difference. That was me in 2021. Then when I start to walk more and more steps a day, of course the more the merrier, but once I started to hit around that 10,000 steps a day mark, that was when the fat really started to just shed off. And it was crazy, because in tandem with fasting, so I ate less food. I didn't exactly change my diet to eat all salad, but I ate less food and I walked 10,000 steps a day. Those things burned a lot of calories. So you can see I was in this 300 to 500 calorie range a day, on top of not eating that much. And it's really good for a multitude of reasons. So, number one is actually a study said that walking 10,000 steps a day and just being generally active will reduce death by 50 to 70%. And of course, this makes sense, because you look at people back in the 1900s. But the reason most of them are not fat is because multiple reasons. Yes, the food was different, but people were generally just active more around. So walking 10,000 steps is kind of like adding on top of you already working out, or even if you don't lift weights. Just being, the point of this is being more generally active is going to reduce your death rate. And it's going to burn you a lot of calories, which moves us on to point two, which is it burns fat. So to be specific, your body, what happens to your body is that when you eat something with fat in it, like peanut butter, your body holds onto the fat, it stores it up, kind of like a camel. So that way, when you don't have any food or energy, your body turns the fat in your body into energy. Well, this happens much faster when you're walking. And since you're walking at a slower pace, your heart rate is working your blood. But the thing is, it takes directly from your fat storages and not your water weight immediately. And number three, which ties back into reduced death, is it just improves overall your cardiovascular health. A lot of people nowadays live sedentary lifestyles, and this has been preached to death, but most people just don't realize. They think it's really hard to go to the gym and everything. But the point of all this is that you can start small just by walking, just taking 10,000 steps. And this is included in a multitude of activities where I sometimes don't get a lot of steps in when I haven't gone on my walk yet. It just kind of adds up in like small things. So if you're baking, cleaning the house, walking around, walking to work, walking from home, you can do little things like that. When you do your walks, you want to remember these three things to make it. First of all, make it fun. A lot of people see working out and exercising as something, this bitter pill to swallow, and then they'll get the body they want. But you're less likely to stick to it if you do it that way. What you want to do is make it fun, which is why I put all of these examples that you can do. Some people do boxing, some people do sprinting, some people do swimming, biking. These all count into your 10,000 steps. Now, of course, the intensity varies, but the thing is, baseline, you can just walk the steps and burn the same amount of calories. Make it easy. Again, it does not have to be complicated. When I first went on my walks, I would go out on the highway near where I lived, out on the road, and just walk back and forth. Even to the point where, I'm pretty sure, so it's been like almost 5 years now, they know me because I'm just walking back and forth. I'm the running man, the guy. But you want to make it easy to do. I don't have a set time. I think back when I first started working out, I did have more disciplined routine. But nowadays, it's just where I'm sitting there, I'll just go for a walk. If I just feel like it, I'll just go for a walk. And put my AirPods in and listen to music. And it makes it much more fun, easy, and enjoyable. Never just going to make it at all. Now, some days, if I'm really tired and don't feel like going, it's fine. If you're tired, just go take a rest day. But I would say make it at all. There's a quote I heard somewhere, I forget where, but remember, when you walk, no matter how far you walk, you always went farther than those who did not walk at all. And that can be applied to many areas of life, but it's just important to make an effort, I would say, at all. And this really makes a world of difference. I should mention also something to watch out for when it comes to walking versus running. The reason why I think walking is better is because a lower intensity is not going to spike your hunger as much. And this is important. I started out doing walks, and because I wanted to get faster, I started doing sprints, interval sprints, led to me long distance running. Running gave me a big appetite, let's say the least. And yes, while I'm burning more calories, because I went longer runs, walking versus running, you still do burn the same amount of calories. The difference that running makes you a lot hungrier. And a lot of people can actually sometimes overestimate the amount of calories they burned and actually eat too much. Oh, I deserve this. This leads to the bread dilemma. There is a bread dilemma. So, the bread dilemma is that as follows. So I mentioned before that fat, your body turns fat and energy. Well, carbs are also a form of energy. So when you do any high energy activity, your body's going to start to crave carbs. And that is bad, because if you know anything about fitness and health, then carbs are not good if you're trying to cut, and they're not essential for building muscle. Even if building muscle is not your goal, then carbs, a lot of people say they make you fat. This is a bit different for younger people, but carbs plus fat equals energy. So it is good to eat that, but just be warned. When you start doing this, you're going to want a lot of carbs. I had an entire pack of peanut butter crackers when I was doing this, and the cravings, I'm telling you, are ridiculous. So just be warned for the bread dilemma. But as it follows, this is what you need to remember. We spiked by this. So we want to stick to running. Walking. You want to stick to walking, not running. Okay. So 10,000 steps. Try to get them in. Try to make it fun and simple for you. And it's going to increase your overall cardiovascular health, make you live longer, and help you stay in shape to get the body that you want. Alright? Stay flashy.